Good morning on what is a mild, grey and overcast day. It is Friday the 17th of March. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to our box. So, get the knife, open, cut through the tape. There we go, nice and easy. Here with this, so a bit of unwrapping needed. See whether there's any details on there that might give you a bit of a clue. You can see Cubicle 7 Games Workshop. So what I've got here is a copy of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the limited edition, published by Cubicle 7. This was back in 2018. Now, this is a bit of a story behind this. Was that now I'm a big Warhammer fan. I've been a fan of Warhammer since the role-playing game came out in the 80s. And last year, and I've actually had a copy of this in my hands, which was mine, for only 5 minutes or so, because I was at UK Games Expo last year, and my friend Bud and I, we wanted to go into the Bring and Buy, because we're always after interesting books, interesting role-playing books, things we want to add to our collection, that sort of thing, and then talk about or write about. And we found a copy of this, and because the Bring and Buy at the Expo is all cash, I had the cash, he didn't, and so I bought it. Fine, it was mine. This was mine, and then he paid me back, and then it was his. So, but funnily, I have a copy of my own, which he actually found for me. I paid more than he did. He actually paid less than cost price, so he got a bargain. I don't think I paid too much for this. So, anyway, this is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition special, this limited edition, published by Cubicle 7. So let's have a look inside. So you have the nice, it comes in a box, and you've got a magnetic clasp there, and you open up, and what you've got inside is the book itself, sitting in the box with the faux leather cover, and a ribbon there to help you pull it out, because it's a little bit difficult to get out as I recall without it. So just pull that up, and it comes up very nicely. And you've got essentially the seal of the Warhammer seal of Sigmar, I'm presuming, on the front, etched on the front cover. And it's, as I say, faux leather. It feels slightly rubbery, but you know, it still feels good in the hands. Nice and chunky book, and you've got the gold edged pages as well. So you open up, and you have the map of the old world. It's quite a busy map, so it kind of got to work to really work out the details on the map. The inserts are a little easier, a little less busy, and so that you know, we've got a map of the old, sort of like section of the old world, and then actual map of the Empire there, and that's a lot easier to read. And then we've got a greater one. Sort of like, you know, and the coast. Don't have a map of the whole of the old world, of course. It's not really the focus of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay as such in its core book. And so what we have next is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Certificate of Authenticity. This is 826 of 1986. 1986 being the total number produced, of course, in to acknowledge the fact that the book was first published in 1986. Table of contents, but pretty much everything, really anything else in here is the same as the standard edition, which is the version you're going to be playing with for the most part. You're not going to be playing with this. This is very much a collector's item. We've got the introduction, explains what a role-playing game is, explains what Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is. And then we have the first of these 2-page spread artworks, and you've got the classic Troll Slayer, Dragon Slayer, Giant Slayer, dwarf there with the orange Mohican, you know, approaching in almost like a Citadel miniatures type tower there in you know, up in the mountains. And accompanied, of course, by sort of like descriptive text of sort of like the regions, the area, and the book is littered with these 2-page spreads, you know, explaining the character, explaining some of the horrors, like the jack-o'-lantern, excuse me, style scarecrow there. So yeah, quite a few of these to begin with, and these really kind of capture the flavour and the feel for Warhammer. It feels sort of like quite dark and grim, and here you've got a classic scene of a boat on a river, and it's about to be attacked by some beast men, not brew, beast men, of course. You know, classic sort of goat-headed beast men, and then we switch to the city, and you almost have sort of like an ongoing story here, because some of the characters. So you've got. You move to the city, you've got the dwarfs and so on, and you've got presumably the same Troll Slayer dwarf there. You know, meeting friends in the city, going for a pint or several. And then sort of already the first piece of sort of in-game text describing the state of the world, and so on, introducing it from a point of view of someone within the within the empire, and then it's straight into character, you know, and the rules, and it's all very nicely laid out, clean, easy to read, and you know. First thing it does with species: humans, Reichlanders, dwarves, halflings, high elves, wood elves, are all options. And then we get onto the classic kind of a big careers table, because obviously Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is famous for its careers. It's an integral part of the role-playing game. You could not have Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay without a careers table. You know, and so. You actually have an image here of a barber at work. You can start role-playing as that character, a barber surgeon who has decided to go adventuring, who is primarily pretty much rubbish at everything except performing a shave. You know, that's his job. Right, you've got all the lists of skills and talents, and you can have random talents, and so on. And you've got things like an elf name generator there, and elf colour, eye colour, hair colour, for the different species. Again, that's imported really from what the original sort of like Game Master screen pack for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which enable you to create all the kind of physical details and background of your character, and added quite a lot of flavour to them. So, and then an explanation of the character sheet. So, you know, it looks a bit busy, but it's not. You know, it's fairly simple. Skills, percentiles, and then talents either add a bonus or allow you to do a skill, and so on. And then we get into class and careers, and a lengthy section of different sort of like occupations that a player character can begin play with, and then move into learning things within the career as you go. Every career has a career path, and you actually go from, for example, with an engineer, you start off as a student engineer. You can advance to a proper engineer, a master engineer, or a chartered engineer. So you can keep continuing through the one career, getting better and better at it, as well as improving other skills. You know, none position. None, you can go from Noviate to Prioress General, a Priest, Initiate, Priest, High Priest, Lector, and of course you've got classic role careers in there like Agitator, the Beggar, Investigator, Merchant, Ratcatcher. Yep, Devil Ratcatcher. You know, you know, which includes slim with his trappings include slim with ammunition, sack, small but vicious dog. So yeah, these are all there, and you know you can play some interesting characters. Your occupation definitely influences what you can do, who your character is. You know, imagine that you're an artist, for example. What kind of artist are you? You know, are you precious about your art? Do you hate having been an artist? Are you a snob, and so on? It's lots of different, you know, ideas and character backgrounds suggest themselves just with the choice of an occupation. So you know, all the way up to grave robber. You know, what forced you to become a grave robber or an outlaw, thief, racketeer, and so on. And then we have sort of like section 1 skills and talents. Not going to show you all of those because there's just sort of like lists and so on. You've got things like consume alcohol, bribery, rules for begging and speaking. And then there's the languages of the old world. So then we go on to talents, you know, things like beneath notice and animal affinity, contortionist, concoct, bookish. And then essentially all that really is, you know, just basically a primer on the old world and the empire and character generation. That's really it. There's quite a lengthy section on character generation. You know, it's roughly over 100 pages on character generation. Now, that doesn't mean that character generation is complex. It's more a case of there's just lots of things that the book rules has to cover in the character options, because you know, if you think about something like Dungeons and Dragons, you're going right fighter, sorcerer, bard, monk, and so on, and then you've got some options within that. You choose a race, and you're done. Here, you are creating a character for a particular setting, so you have lots of different types of characters, and then all of them are grounded in the real world of the old empire. So we get onto the rules themselves. It's a percentile system, again, really quick and simple, and really the core game rules are presented on this double-page spread, where you simply have great game rules, resolving actions, options tested above 100, options auto success not much able, and so on. You know, you almost want to have that page bookmarked when you're actually running at the table, but they're clearly explained. You know, you've got an outcome table there, but as I say, the percentile rules of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay are far from complex. Then we get into combat and just how combat in Warhammer Fantasy Role is a swirling mess of chaos and death and blood and so on, and infamously, if I can find them, at injuries, critical hit tables. Wasn't the first table to do critical hit tables. You were looking at something like Rollmaster, for example, which had huge lists of tables for almost every type of attack and action. So let's have a look. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, don't see the. There should be here. Yeah, as you basically, on a roll of 0, 0 or 100 on the critical hit table, for the head, of course, you have decapitated, meaning death. Your head is entirely severed from your neck and soars from the air, landing 1d10 feet away in a random direction. See scatter. Your body collapses, instantly dead. Now, classically, that's headlands 2d6 feet away from you in a random direction. Is the original much quoted text, but one of the things about the 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is that it dispenses with 6-sided dice or 10-sided dice. So yeah, you have rules in here for broken bones, torn muscles, amputated parts, and more. And of course you've got lots of corruption, because you know you're going to be confronting chaos. And then you've got physical and mental corruption tables. Things to do between adventures. You've got options during your downtime. You know, whether that's events like suffering inclement weather, or betrayed, or an arcane auction. And you have things like money to burn, duties and responsibilities, elf improvement with great power, banking, consult an expert, crafting, invent, training, unusual learning. All things in you know, and then we've got the same again for your general class, because all the occupations fall into a general class. So it might be foment descent, pick up the latest used, combat training, and so on. That that you can all do to improve your character, learn something, and so on, and support the campaign and your character. So religion and belief section, important, because you have Sigmar and Ulrich being stalwart gods of the old world. And then we have the Cult of Manon, god of the sea. Cult of Moor, god of death, and so on. Clearly, simply presented. I mean, often previous versions of the role-playing game, they're kind of sort of like kind of lost at the back, but here they're given prominence. Yeah. And we've got the same again, but it kind of glosses over a bit of dwarven ancestor, elven gods, halfling gods, and so on. We have blessings for your divine gods, various spells that your clerical or character can learn. Magic for your wizard and wizard's apprentice. Dealing with the legend of magic, you've got the 8 laws there. Law of light, law of metal, law of life, law of shadows, law of heavens, law of death, law of fire, law of beasts, and so on. Discussion of elven magic, again, that's going to be relatively short. And then we get into the magic rules, of course, which is the core percentile rules, and so on. And then you're going with you've got miscast tables, because hey, more tables is always great. And then we've got like a physical representation of sort of like the spells and the laws in the Warhammer world. And then we get into spell lists, starting off with petty spells and going all the way up. Then we get to Game Master. Things with travel costs and events, awarding experience points and the like. And then we have a visitor's guide to the right. Nice touch essentially you've got here is that, okay, this section here is sort of like done almost as if it was a book itself, a journal, completely, you know, bound in string. Glorious Reichland. Just general background, guide to geography. You've got a timeline, which runs from -500 IC you know, up to 01C and sorry, 0IC, 1IC, which is the War Against the Chaos. We come up to we have a period of the 1979 to 2303 IC, the Dark Ages. Elected Countess Margherita of Westmoreland is elected Empress. Infamous in-joke there, of course. Elected Countess Margherita of Westmoreland was always a poke at Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister, who was, of course, elected in 1979. And that's one of the things about Warhammer. It's full of in-jokes. It's very snidely kind of, you know, political and satirical. And we've got further discussion of politics of the Reichland there. And map of the sample Reichland estate. And a discussion of typical settlements. And various different locations across the region. Including a list of the ancient sites and terrible ruins to be found there, and possible adventure sites if the player characters are prepared to go there. Consumer's guide. So you've got you do have an equipment guide. I've forgotten about that, but it's all the way in the back of the book. So including here, we have a go to market, availability of goods, bargaining and trading, at item qualities, item floors, and the thing is with this is that that's a lot of role-playing games don't necessarily need to bother about that, but this is all part of the world building. It is a case of sometimes you're going to buy weapons which aren't as good as you hoped they were, or you can spend a little bit more to get a better quality weapon. There's a list of the weapons, just another table, but there's the armour table. Tables for clothing, accessories, food and drink, and lodging, books, documents, trade tools and workshops, animals, vehicles, drugs and poisons, herbs and drafts, or even, perfectly in keeping with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, prosthetics. Because, there is a possibility of losing a leg or an eye or or an arm or a hand and so on in the game. Combat is brutal at times. Bestiary. So you've got different peoples of the Reichland, and then various creatures. So we do have ogres who can be monsters, can be not, might be not. And then we have example NPCs including Black Bella, Human Brigand, or Pole Dankles, Human Witch. With the notes for about halflings and ogres that halflings and ogres get on. And then we get into the various beasts. And of course there's a full bestiary available for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But here's here's some sample ones, for you to use in your game. Whether that's the Bog Octopus, the Chaos Squig, a dragon, which no player in his right mind, character in his right mind is going anywhere near. So yeah, giants, Fimir, griffins, the feared Jabbersliths. Is that Jabbersliths? Yeah, Jabbersliths. And then green skull, skin hordes. So we do have orcs, goblins, snotlings, the restless dead. I mean, great artwork. I mean, clearly, neatly presented. There's nothing fussy about this. And then, more creatures. And then cultists lost in the dam, mutants, cultists, because here you have cultists dedicated to the chaos gods, chaos warriors. And at the back, essentially, we just got essentially a list of all the creature traits, explanation of them. And then that's it, really. There's the character sheet in full. And then the index. So yeah, and then you've got an advert on the back for Rough Days, Hard Nights, which is the first kind of anthology stroke campaign for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So yeah, that's Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the limited edition, which I have thanks to Bud, so thank you, Bud, for that. Going to put this back in its box. Very nice box. So there we go. And of course, you'll find a link to the review of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay down below. But if you if you like this unboxing, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.